Test, test, 1, 2. This is just a mic test. Test, 1, 2. Hey everyone, this is Dan. I'm still waiting on the superintendent to join the Zoom meeting. We're going to get that started at 1. If you have questions, go ahead and post those in the chat. I've got a few questions myself. I'm hoping this will be an opportunity for folks who have questions to get them answered if they haven't been answered in a previous public forum. Thanks. Hey everyone, this is Dan. Thanks for joining in. If you have questions, go on ahead and create a Twitch account, give us a follow, and put those questions in our chat. Thank you very much. Hey everyone, it's Dan. If you're just joining us, we are still waiting for the superintendent to join the Zoom meeting. If you have a question, in the interest of time, I would ask that you go ahead and create a Twitch account, give us a follow, and then post your questions in the chat log. I'll have about 3 questions to start off. We'll get through those really quick, and then we'll be devoting the episode entirely to your questions. So please go on ahead and get those questions in. Thank you so much.
Test, 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 test.
Hey everyone, Stan with Decaturish.com. I am here. Camilla Boyd is going to be entering the room. There she is. I'm here. We're still waiting on our school officials to get into the room. Uh, they will be here momentarily. Hello. Hey Camilla. That sounds fine. Thank you. So we're good to see you too. So we're here. We're waiting on the superintendent to join us. She'll be along soon. If you go ahead, I am Dan Wisenhunt. I am the editor and publisher of Decaturish. If you haven't seen me before, hi, how are you? If you have a question in the interest of time, please go on ahead and create yourself a Twitch account. Give us a follow and jump in the chats. I see we've got two questions already. I have about three questions. I don't know if you can see this. I got three questions I want to ask as well to start things off. So soon as she gets here, we'll start. We'll dispense with the introductions and go on right on into it. Hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all staying safe, wearing your masks whenever you go places, uh, keeping 6 feet distance and all of that. If you were able to get a shot and able to sign up for one, more importantly, I hope you've gotten that. I'm going to continue to report on the vaccination efforts as we get information about it. Unfortunately, I'm know about as much as everybody else does in terms of the supply and what's being handed out. I do know that Publix and Kroger are now offering vaccines, so that's helpful. I don't think they have any appointments either, but as more supply gets in, just keep checking that, and hopefully they'll uh, be able to open up some appointments. Again, we are still waiting for the superintendent to join us. Go ahead and get your questions in so we can get that started as soon as she gets in the room. And you can appreciate my Zoom background. It's this wonderful Dean Hess photo of the DeKalb County School District. Uh, he got as a nice stock photo. So just to tell you what I do know, last night I did watch the superintendent's town hall, and somebody can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that it'll be a 2-week heads up before any in-person learning resumes. There were plans to start that this week. They have decided to hold off on that due to the spread of COVID-19. So they will give us a 2 weeks heads up. From what I'm told, I'm actually in the principal's advisory committee in my local school. We were talking about our plans last night before we jumped over to the superintendent's town hall. We're going to be presumably doing a walkthrough at some point to see what's going on over there. Um, if you want to know where I personally stand on it, I'm 50-50 about returning. Back when cases were a lot lower, I had signed an intent to return form. And when I did that, it was with the understanding that there was going to be a metric that we all were going to abide by as kind of like a rule of the road. And since that has happened, the metrics have changed. And I don't really know where I stand on it anymore because I'm not sure what metric is actually being used to measure the reopening. So we're going to have to see. It's going to have to depend on what I hear today, what we hear going forward, and how ready the schools are. And really, if they've got teachers able to staff the buildings, to be honest with you. That's another thing we're going to be talking about. But again, we're about 5 minutes past the expected start time. Superintendent should be joining us any minute. I'm mainly talking to fill time. It's not something I am particularly good at. So if you have a question, go ahead and be thinking about it. Throw that question in the chat, and I will. All right, got another question. That's good. Nice long question. That's good. Thank you for putting that in there. Sell the bridge. People, of course, are using pseudonyms. I'm going to shrink the screen a little bit so we can see our questions a little bit better as they come in, because the chat kind of gets minimized when it's bigger. So I said I hope everyone's doing well. hope you will have a nice, safe 3-day weekend. Get out there and participate in some service projects if you're able to and you can. I know there's one going on in Kirkwood. There's going to be a coat drive, and there's going to be a food distribution that DeKalb County is going to be doing as part of their MLK service project. Um, Mike Thurmond, CEO of DeKalb County, and the CEO of United Way. I can't recall the gentleman's name right off the top of my head. We're getting their COVID vaccines today. That's good. If you go to Decaturish Scrubs, that is Decaturish and Scrubs.com, that is where you will find all of our Decaturish COVID-19 coverage. It'll have information about where you can get a vaccine, testing, COVID rates. That's where we kind of keep all of that. Obviously, it's a lot of information. Obviously, we don't always have access to all the information that we would like at any given time. I see 21 people are in the room now. That's great. Awesome. We are about 5 to 6 minutes past the start time of this. Superintendent is supposed to be joining us very soon, imminent, I'm told. I do have some of her assistants in the Zoom meeting already, as you can see. If you have a question, now is a good time. Go on ahead and create yourself a Twitch account. Give us a follow and jump in the chats and go ahead and ask your question. I'm going to have a few questions to start off as well. We're going to dispense with the introductions once she gets here. Just to let you know, we will be joined by Superintendent Harris, Superintendent of DeKalb County Schools. She will be here, I'm told, momentarily. And as you know, as I'm sure most of you know, if you were a DeKalb County parent, um, the return to in-person learning is not going to happen this week. We are going to go to a full-time school schedule, which is interesting. So we'll, instead of getting logged in at 8:45, we'll be getting logged in at 7:30. So I'm going to lose a little bit of sleep over that, but that's okay. And I'd rather him be on a longer, fuller school schedule. I have a little one who's a student at the school system as well. So obviously, I'm personally impacted by what's going on, as I'm sure a lot of you are, whether you're a teacher or a parent or a community member. You know, somebody who might live with a teacher. You know, who's going to be going. So obviously, we're all impacted. Um, Carla or Camila, can you tell me? They can't hear you right now, but can you tell me when you expect the superintendent to join?
Hey, I just spoke with her assistant. She may be in a long wait because we had other interviews today, so she probably clicked on the wrong link. So we're getting her straightened out now.
All right, I'm told that she might have followed the wrong Zoom link. She's been doing a lot of media interviews, so she should be here soon. I'm told they sent her the correct link. I will go ahead and send the correct link over again, just to make sure that folks have it. Oh, there she is. There she is. Superintendent Harris, can you hear us? Can you see us?
I can see you and hear you now.
Thank you so
Have
much for
a minute.
joining us. I will dispense with the formalities and introductions and get right to our questions because we have a lot of them. Um,
Okay.
so the original metric for reopening schools was cases per 100,000 people. That metric then became the positivity rate. In both instances, we saw that the COVID-19 cases surpassed that metric each time. So my first question is, why did those metrics change? And can you tell me what is the metric that is being used now to determine whether or not schools reopen?
Okay, so I just want to make one thing crystal clear. Wonder, it's great to be with you. Thank you for having me
Thank you for
again.
joining us.
We have always said that our priority would be the safety of our students and our staff. We have also said that we would follow the guidance from the CDC. The guidance from the CDC currently is to focus on the mitigation strategies, to focus on our ability to implement and monitor the five key mitigation strategies. We also consider the positivity rate. We consider the positivity rate in our overall decision-making process. But as a reminder, we have had a COVID-19 task force as well as a medical advisory team that has helped us to determine the best course of action for DeKalb County School District. So there is no longer a clear metric as you described it. We follow the guidance from the CDC. As we know, this is a virus. This is ever changing what is happening in our communities. So what we can do is we can focus on the mitigation strategies, and we can also consider the positivity rate and how prepared we are as a school district to make sure that we're keeping our students and our staff safe.
So if the metric is, if the mitigation is what we're focused on and not the metric, what was the reason that in-person learning was postponed until a later date?
Yeah, I didn't say that the positivity rate wasn't considered. It's
Okay.
one of the considerations.
Okay.
It's one of the considerations that we took into account in our decision-making process. When we had the staff returned on January 9th, and we walked our buildings and we looked at gaps. So you can plan as well as you think. And then when you introduce the variable of people, that might change in terms of your level of readiness. And so, as a community, walking our buildings, looking at our readiness in terms of our ability to maintain social distancing, our ability, our having the signage out to keep our students socially distanced, having all the PPE distributed to classrooms where they needed to be, having all the necessary hand sanitizer stations, as well as just some of the kind of capital issues that existed in some of our buildings. That, in conjunction with the spike in our positivity rate, as well as just the overall sentiment from our teachers. You know, that's another thing we had to listen to, just as we listened to parents who have been very clear that they want a return to face option. We had to look at the entire picture. This is not a simple thing. This is not a yes or no, a black or white decision. It's very complicated, as I'm sure that everyone could imagine. And so, right now, our decision and what we shared on our January 11th board meeting is that we are delaying the expected date for all staff members to February 3rd. That is when the hardship waiver ends on February 2nd. And we will continue to do everything that we can to ensure that things are ready for the return of our students to face instruction for those parents that want that. That's also very important. There are many parents who are not interested in a return to face option for their children at this time and want to be able to continue to learn in a remote setting.
So I have a quick question on personnel, and then we're going to get to reader questions because I want to let them get as many answered. How many teachers have received hardship or 88 requests, and how is this going to impact the ability to reopen schools?
Yes, I don't have, I'm sorry, I'm, as you can imagine, very busy right now, running from one thing to the next. I don't have those hard numbers, and I don't want to misquote the numbers. I will say that there were many teachers that explored that as an option. Over 50% of the teachers, I will say, explored the hardship as an option. The numbers are much smaller in terms of ADA accommodations because we know you have to have a medical doctor's note, and that has to be approved according to the guidance of ADA. But many of our teachers opted for the hardship waiver, and we were happy to provide that. We knew that we heard loud and clear from our teachers, many of them, that they had not necessarily secured childcare, or they were dealing with another personal situation, unique situation to themselves. And we have made a promise to be compassionate over compliant, to be patient and flexible. And that is why we worked with our legal counsel to create the hardship as an option. But on January 4th, we did have over 4,000 teachers that reported to the school and did so enthusiastically.
So let's get to some questions. Reader question. My question is, why do they keep coming up with dates for teachers and staff to return to the buildings? How could they possibly know what the numbers will look like on February 3rd? I have not heard February 3rd as a date, so I don't know if that's some misinformation, but maybe you can clarify.
Yes, we did make that announcement at the board meeting that we're tracking towards February 3rd. The hardship waiver was granted for a 30-day period up to February 2nd. So all of the teachers, staff members are expected at this time to return on February 3rd. However, just as we have had to adjust in the past, we may have to adjust again based on the information available to us. That's a valid question that the person offered in terms of why do we uh, share a date. We share a date on the best available information to us. We have been committed to working to get our students back in our buildings. Without a date, you're kind of blindly planning. But this isn't a decision that we make at each board meeting. This is something that we're considering and looking at the data, looking at our readiness every single day. This is something that we're doing every single day. And if there is a reason that we have to pivot, that we have to change, that we have to evolve or adjust our return date, we will do so in communication, making sure that the necessary stakeholders are in communication. Without a date to track towards, I think we can all appreciate that if you're not planning towards something, that it really puts you in a much more vulnerable position. But we have been over communicating as a school district. We send out a newsletter every Friday. We have our website where parents can go to continue to receive up to date information, and then that's just where we are. That's where we are as a district and as a larger community.
So another question. Some charter schools, reader asks, some charter schools in your district have worked diligently since March to prepare plans and facilities for safe returns to school. They did so with express autonomy from your administration that we can make a decision to reopen ourselves. Your administration has since reversed course and stated that charters may not open until the district reopens. Can you reconsider this decision if a charter can ensure a safe return to school plan and a safe facility?
Yes, I will have to come back to you with a response to that question. Thank you.
So I think a broader question I have is, what is the impetus for moving forward with reopening? What would you say is the pressure that the school system is under to get kids back in the classroom? Is it declining enrollments? Is it a funding issue? Is it a desire to serve people that you feel aren't being served by virtual learning? What is the motivating factor behind moving ahead with a reopening plan?
I will have to say that there are many variables. This is not an easy decision. There are many variables that we consider. We know that we have vulnerable populations that will do best in a school environment. We know that we have many students that have been excelling and thriving in the virtual space. We also know that we have many students who have experienced challenges in the virtual space, not only academically, but many socially, emotionally, and even mentally. Some of our students really need to get back into the school building. And that's really the motivating factor, not a decline in enrollment, not political pressure, not emotional um, positions, which are all respected. We are a district and education organization, and our job is to do the best that we can do for all of our students. And for some of our students, there is a sense of urgency to get them back into the school building. come March, that will be an entire year that some children have not been in school. I have participated in many community giveaways, food bank distributions, etc. And when I speak to parents, when I speak to some of our scholars, particularly some of our most vulnerable scholars, they miss the normalcy of school. They miss having that strong support system that's provided in a beautiful school district like DeKalb County. And it is my responsibility as a superintendent, and these are not decisions I make by myself, I make them with our team. That it's my responsibility to work tirelessly to get our children back into school, while also providing, and this is the part that is so important to me, that families hear, community stakeholders hear, that our main thing is to continue to provide a high quality educational experience, even if that is in the virtual space. So we continue to listen, we continue to identify gaps, we continue to offer professional development, and create new tools, purchase new technologies so that the remote learning experience is high quality and still meeting the needs of our students.
So I gotta apologize for whatever reason. Oh, there's the video. The video cut out. I apologize.
No
We have
worries.
another question. How do you feel about surrounding counties that have been open to face now going virtual after the losses of teachers?
Mhm. Um, I will say I offer my condolences to the other districts. As you know, I worked in another district and also experienced the loss. My heart, my support, my partnership goes out to those school communities, district communities that have lost a loved one.
I guess it is a decision. It's one of those executive decisions that leaders have to deal with, where what you might do might actually put somebody in harm's way. What would your reaction be if we do end up losing a teacher or several teachers as a result of, or other staff as a result of this plan?
I appreciate that question because it speaks to why we have been conservative in our decision making process and why we have not invited our children back into the building until we have the greatest sense of resolve that we're able to properly implement and monitor the mitigation strategies. So that is where we are. I don't want to project the loss of any of our valued staff members or to even put that out in the atmosphere. What we are doing right now is working very, very strategically um, and diligently to ensure that we are able to implement the mitigation strategies which the CDC believes will help with the decline or the flattening of the spread of COVID-19. That is our focus.
Do you think that there will actually be a return to in-person learning at all this year under the circumstances?
I believe so. The numbers, we monitor them every day. We have some new variables now that we did not have before. We have the vaccine that will be available. We are training. We're working very closely with the DeKalb Board of Health. We are in discussions of getting our um, nurses trained in the administration so that they can be certified administrators of the vaccine, and we can have sites within the school department to be able to offer that once it's available to our staff. So there are things that are available to us. We're continuing to work with our partners to offer testing. Um, and just continuing to learn from all of the lessons that have been available to us nationally to ensure that we can continue to work towards getting our children back in school. But I'm not offering that as false hope. Your question to me was, do I believe Cheryl Watson-Harris, that we'll be able to get our children back in school. And the answer to your question is yes. And I'm working very hard with an amazing team and an amazing group of external stakeholders to make that wish a reality.
So, as you know, we're going to get a new president, we're going to get a new education secretary. What are you hearing about that, and how is that affecting your decision making regarding this issue?
Mm-hmm. Um, uh, Personally, I'm excited about our new leadership. I'm excited about the opportunity to, work more closely with our new Secretary of Education, who has been a teacher and worked in the K-12 space. Um, I like to think that I've been or I've had experienced some success in my career because I never really forgot what it felt like to be a classroom teacher or a building level principal. And so I'm just looking forward to the future of working with our Secretary of Education that has spent time in the schoolhouse and understands the pressures and the demands of the job, as well as the supports and resources that we need to be able to lead most effectively. So I'm excited about our future. Together, we're all uh, facing unprecedented challenges, but creating dialogue and support, the opportunity for additional supports to do our very best is exciting.
So next week we all got to notice we're all going to be having full school days, pretty much starting at 7:30, ending at 2. I'm probably going to lose some sleep over it. That's okay. I don't mind that. Can you tell us a little bit about what the thought was behind that decision to start moving virtual learning to a longer school day?
Thank you for bringing that up. And as you may know, we hosted a town hall with our families yesterday. And that town hall was preceded by a meeting with all of our principals, as well as a meeting with our teacher advisory group. And I say that to share that we received feedback from our teachers, our principals, and our parents yesterday in the Facebook Live town hall that there was some concern about the younger children returning to the traditional school day. And so we've heard that. We're taking that into consideration. The intention was never to have it be engraved in stone, but more of a guidance. So we are going back to that. We're making some revisions in that, and parents should expect to hear that and know that they were heard last evening, and that's why we do the town halls, and that their principals and teachers also raised the same concern. For the older children, again, we're tracking towards getting them back into the school. And our hope is that we'll be able to do that this spring semester. And so returning to that schedule would allow for us to have a smoother transition once they go back into the school buildings. That was the intention, and I believe that was your question.
Right. We have three more reader questions. First question, real quick. Will the teacher hardship get extended after February 3rd?
That is not our plan at this time. Our plan at this time was to offer the hardship waiver for teachers who just weren't prepared in terms of childcare or just kind of getting themselves ready to be able to return to the school building after not having been there since March or whatever other unique situation they were in. And so we made this 30-day opportunity available to them. As we continue to prepare to get our children back in school, we have to get the teachers back. We have to get the teachers back first and make sure that the building is ready. But we will not bring the teachers back, and I think that's people have to hear that. We're tracking towards February 3rd. Come February 3rd, if we are not confident in our ability to implement the mitigation strategies, if we have looked at the positivity rate and there is a cause for alarm, if we are meeting with our task force and our medical advisory team, and the recommendation is that it is not safe to bring them back, then we will adjust. And we will communicate that with all of our stakeholders. But the hardship at this time is we do not have plans to extend it after February 2nd.
All right, I think we have one more reader question. How can we be utilizing our most safe and effective prepared facilities to facilitate in-person learning pods? Could these be facilitated by teachers that have already had the vaccination and or those that are already comfortable returning?
Yes, I'm not really, to be honest with you, clear about the first part of the question.
It
Um,
says, how can we be utilizing our most safe and prepared facilities to facilitate in-person learning pods? So if I could translate, I think what they're saying is
Mhm.
the buildings that are
Mhm.
the readiest, the most ready
Mhm.
to return.
Absolutely. I love that question. And we have been hosting a day in the life experiences. We have also been making videos of our exemplar schools and bringing principals from other schools to visit those so that they can see the level of preparedness in those schools. And that's where we are. To the second point about bringing teachers who are most comfortable, that's exactly what we did on the 4th. The teachers, over 4,000 teachers that came on the 4th were those that felt ready to return to the school. So if there's another part of that question in terms of, do we start with lab sites to start to bring children back? That is something that we will continue to discuss, but we have been moving in that same direction. And I appreciate the question. I appreciate the innovative thinking of the person who submitted that question.
Superintendent Harris, you've been very gracious with your time today. I know you're a very busy person and you have other things to do. I would like to let you have the last word before we wrap up. If there are any things you want to add or any other messages you'd like to convey
Mm-hmm.
as we move forward. Obviously, this is a fluid process. You know,
Yes.
things are going to change. We're going to stay on top of it as much as we can, and we hope that as things develop, that you will again join us and take a few more of these questions. But I just wanted to let you have the last uh, word before we sign off.
Yes, I want to tell you again how much I appreciate always the invitation to be in community with you and to have this platform to communicate with our internal and external stakeholders. I would like to say to our community, please continue to reach out if anything is not clear. We're not always going to agree with everyone. We have a beautifully diverse district with diversity of thought. And all opinions are valued and respected. But please continue to read the newsletter that comes out every week. Please continue to go to the website and attend our town halls so that you can hear our thinking as well as provide input and feedback. You have my assurance as the superintendent and number one cheerleader for everyone in this district that we are working to get our children back in school, while also for parents who will not want that as an option, continuing to improve our virtual learning experience. So I appreciate everyone. Happy New Year. And I hope that everyone stays safe and that we stay committed to one another as a community.
Superintendent Harris, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your service and for being willing to take some of these challenges. And you know, I know it's a tough job, but I appreciate you making time to answer the questions that people in our community have. So thank you. Um,
Thank you.
I'd like to just, you know, on a personal note, to our teachers, principals, school staff, you know, thank all of you. The work that you've been doing, at least from my perspective, has been really great. We have appreciated our virtual learning experience. We know it's a tough situation. We know it's not always perfect, but we are grateful for our teachers and what they do. And I pray and hope that whatever plan gets implemented, that it is in the best interest of everyone, and that it's safe, and that if we do return to school, that it's safe and can be done effectively. So thank you all so much. This is the Decaturish.com Twitch show. We may or may not have another broadcast on Wednesday. It's going to kind of depend on what happens with the presidential inauguration by Superintendent Harris. So we'll keep you posted. So yeah, be sure to tune in next Wednesday. As always, you can get all of our latest news at Decaturish.com. You can get all the latest COVID news at DecaturishScrubs.com. Please wear your mask. Please keep your distance. Get the vaccine if it's available and you can get it. You all have a nice day, have a nice weekend, and we will see you all again very soon. Bye bye, everyone.